Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast. I am Kevin. He is Gordon. FloTrack podcast at gmail.com is the email address if you'd like to write in. We are going to be talking about the European Championships today. We're also going to do another edition of Guess My PR, where Gordon vows to do better. He's on a little bit of a losing streak, we can say, on Guess My PR.
Yeah, you could say that. It's not been good for me. I've been underestimating people, overestimating people. It's not been good. But today's the day. Today's the day I figured it out. I also will say, take a good look behind me. This is the last time you're going to see this. Because on Friday, I will have a new backdrop. That's all I have to say about that.
Terrific.
Very simple. Very simple.
Colt, thoughts? Your mic's already on, so chime in here, Colt.
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the new background.
Are we ever going to get a Colt shot, by the way?
We will. I think we'll eventually bring in the Colt shot. Do you have a camera on you, Colt?
I don't right now. I mean, I can set one up pretty easy if you wanted it.
Maybe we should have a Colt cam, like in the upper corner, so we can see when you leave the podcast to go to the bathroom or get food, and we'll be like, "Where's Colt?"
Do you think I leave a lot? Do you think I leave a lot during the show? I don't leave that much.
We don't know.
Okay.
There's no camera to prove.
You're right. I need an accountability camera, I guess.
Yes, accountability cam. The accountability Colt cam. I love that.
You're pulling assets a lot of times, so because we can see your computer, so we have that knowledge of him.
True.
Googling furiously, and then Gordon getting mad. No, click over there. No, not there, and then no one knows what.
No, it's not spelled like that, Colt. God damn.
You should have seen when he was Googling Jake Whiteman. That was fun.
Oh, well, that's a tough one.
I know, no, but he was spelling it white as in WHITE man, MAN, like white man.
Yeah. That one's difficult. But there was one time too he was trying to bring up a head-to-head on the World Athletics page, which is cool that feature exists on the World Athletics page, but it lists like every distance. So he was pulling up like Marvin Bracey versus Trayvon Bromell in like the 55 meter or something like that. And I was like, no. And he's like, they haven't raced each other, I guess. Not coming up with any results. It's like, nope, gotta pull down to the.
They've never raced.
Yeah. We need a Colt cam, and then we also need like a Colt computer cam, so we can just see all the behind the scenes.
Yeah, listen. You're doing great, Colt. We appreciate you producing.
Thank you.
Let's get into this, Gordon. Let's talk European Championships because we had some big names in action on Tuesday night. And we'll start first with Jakob Ingebrigtsen taking the men's 5,000, one half of his double. He did it with ease, basically playing with his food in this race. Gordon waited till the last 200, and then really the last 100 is where he separated from Mohamed Katir, who we thought was the only guy who could rival Ingebrigtsen in this field. But it was no contest, 13:21, could have gone quicker, never really looked like he was pressed or under stress at any point in this race. This is what you expect to see when someone like Jakob Ingebrigtsen is competing at a European Championships where the whole world is not able to go at him and give him their best shot. Just complete dominance for Jakob.
Yeah, there was only one athlete truly who had a chance to even potentially challenge him, and that was Katir from Spain. But just the way the race played out, he's the best miler in the world. He has a great kick for this distance. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that it was going to end this way, and this is what we saw. So Ingebrigtsen continues to show that he is one of the best. He continues to win, especially at the European level. You see that 3 outdoor titles, 3 indoor, 1 cross country, 1 junior outdoor, 4 junior cross countries. He's going to probably add another outdoor European title. He's the king of Europe. That's for sure. I'm not sure if there's a government. I mean, I guess he probably decides the value of the euro based on his dominance at European Championships. He's probably they're gonna make a new coin and call it the Ingebrigtsen coin, Jakob coin, and it's going to be a 1-to-1 ratio with the euro.
For Mondo, we looked up how old you had to be president of Sweden. Now I'm looking up how old you have to be prime minister of Norway, because maybe that's
Well,
maybe that's
not
the next
Norway. He
path
needs to
for him.
be in charge of the European Union.
Oh, the EU. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
The whole area. I see. I see. Yeah. This. I guess you get continental supremacy when you win this race.
Yeah, that's how it
That's
works.
the whole allure here of the European Championships. I
Wouldn't that be
thought about when
great
he's
if
running
we
this.
decide? Wouldn't that be great if we decided like political leaders based off of like athletic competitions? How many people would tune in to
No,
watch that?
that'd be a terrible idea. But
It worked in the. They did
uh,
that in the olden days, right? Like gladiator type shit.
No.
No, there had to have been a time where they decided who's going to lead a country or a town or a school district or whatever based off of an athletic competition. There had to have been at least once in our world history.
I know you said it as if it was like a common thing, like all the time. If they all ran the 5,000, they got together. You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember last year in the NBA when one player would be having his way with the other guy on the other team, and they started doing the too small thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Or rocking
it
the baby.
became and it became commonplace, even if the person wasn't smaller than the person who was scoring on them. It's just a way to be like, I'm just better than this. Like they can't stop me. There's nothing that you can do to stop me. I felt like Ingebrigtsen with 50 meters to go was going to do the too small thing um, on the rest of the field. And listen, the 15, I expect something similar here because there's no Jake Whiteman in this field. Um, Kerr's not in it. The amount of people who could challenge him is very small
Yeah,
at all. So again, but double, this is only a 6-day meet. Got to have to run rounds as well. So I like that he, going back to what we were saying before about Femke Bowl doubling and Ingebrigtsen doubling. I like the fact that they up the difficulty level for these continental championships.
yeah, for sure.
Continental championships, just incredible,
Why are you
man.
calling it a continental championship? Is that what we're supposed to call it?
Well, Europe is a continent, and these are the championships of Europe. So I was thinking for the bonus pod, by the way, because I was running through all the different scenarios. I know we're talking about US versus UK, but that's sort of tough because you get out, there's a couple good matchups in some events, but then you start to really have to stretch. And I talked about doing 4 different teams, 4 different countries, right? Invite 4 countries to this. But that's sort of tough too because some countries are predominantly distant. There's very few events where you can get crossover of 4 countries, all with top flight people. So what I'm leaning towards now, and you can tell me if this is a bad idea, is continents. I know they already do the Continental Cup, but with the current rosters we have and inviting 3 continents, North America, Central America, Africa, and Europe. Those are the 3 continents that get to
Wait,
show
wait,
up.
wait, 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 wait. Central America? That's not a continent, is it?
Technically,
North
no.
and
I
Central.
don't think. But
It's yeah, North/Central. It's in Central.
Oh,
It's
okay.
with
I thought you
us.
meant Central America is its own
NACAC, basically.
continent.
No, basically NACAC is one. So U.S., Canada, and then you get Caribbean, all that stuff, right? That's one team. Europe is another team, and then Africa is a third team. When you do that, because I was going through the top times, there's a lot of events where it's you have really great representation. I would not hold the men's 4 meter hurdles in this scenario because Dos Santos would not be able to compete, so that would not be on my schedule of events. Um, so Warholm, if he wants to run, would have to run something else. But it works. Like when you go, the 100, even the distance stuff. Obviously, you'd have awesome matchups. So I think we might do it continental style, but
I
I
mean,
can
you're
be
putting
persuaded if you
Jamaica
want
and
to change my
US
mind.
on the same team.
Yeah,
Do we get to create a
I am.
relay and see who would be on our relay if Jamaica and USA are on the same team?
Yeah, because listen,
That would be
if you
fun.
made it a quad meet like what I was talking about before, and the 4 countries I was thinking about was U.S., UK, Jamaica, and Kenya. All right, like the women's 800 is awesome. Thingmo, Keely Hodgkinson, Mary Mora, Natoya Gould. Great. Love it. You could come up with some relays, like you could do a sprint medley. That's cool because everybody has, we just mentioned that they all have an 800. Like you do a mixed gender sprint medley where they all have to, the woman has to run the 8 at the end or something like that. But then what are you going to do in the, in the 15 or in the 5, right? What are you going to do? The women's 100 is not going to be that interesting because some of those countries just don't have anybody who can compete. So it's very tough to create a compelling meet with those 4 countries, or really any 4 countries, because track is just too expansive.
When are we recording this pod? Later today or tomorrow?
Friday, right, Colt?
Friday. We're recording Friday and then releasing on the weekend?
Yeah. The
Okay.
main point of that pod, though, is to tell the story about why you had to get rid of your shoes. That's really the other part of it, because I think people will be into that.
I know.
And you're promoting it heavily. I saw you were posting.
I'm
about it on
realizing
social
what
media.
I've done, that I have to deliver the information that I was hesitant on delivering. But
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I'll
And
do it
since
for
you
the
said it,
members. Do it for the
yeah.
members.
Colt heard it. I heard it. So I'm definitely bringing it up. So unless you want to edit all that out, which I don't think you're going to be able to do, because I'm going to keep coming back to it too. I'm just going to drop little mentions of it throughout. So it's basically going to be impossible to clear it out of the edit. All right, let's talk about the 100. One of the events I was excited about seeing because I was wondering, hey, Marcell Jacobs didn't look good this year. Was hurt, banged up, never really ran any fast times after World Indoors. Then ultimately had to withdraw from Worlds after running around in Eugene. Didn't look great there, but 995 wins the title, beats Zarnell Hughes. I mean, do you think this is a sign that he is back fully? Needs a little bit more time? Where do you assess Jacobs after this win in Munich?
I mean, but definition of back fully? Like back fully would be you can challenge Fred Curley for a win. I don't think he's
Yeah,
able to beat Fred
not there yet.
Curley
You don't think?
next week. No.
Okay.
But he has shown that he's getting healthier, which is great. And that, I mean, running sub 10 is like a good sign that like you're prepared to potentially enter a place where you
What?
think you can go. That was a lot of weird words of
Yeah,
me to
that's
say. He's a race away from being a race away. Put it that way. People in other sports, like you're a year away from being a year away. I think he's a race away from being a race away. So it's a lot shorter because he can get 2 more races in him. But I think he's a race away from being a race away. So there's a probably 40% chance that he will be a factor in the Diamond League final if he were able to make it to the Diamond League final. But only 40%
and
chance.
that's why this is exciting, is because there's
Yeah.
still more season left, so we could see him in some diamond leagues. Curley isn't going to run, but you could see him against Bromell. You could see him against Bracy. This had some top guys in it though. Like beating Hughes is a good win here. Again, it's not going to be as deep as a diamond league, not as deep as a world championships, of course, but there was legitimate doubt about whether or not he'd run the rest of the season. And if he didn't run the rest of the season, then you're thinking back like, hey, is this injury worse than we thought? And also, is it just a situation where 2021 was his year and he's going to constantly be trying to recapture that for the rest of his career? Because you look at 2022, yeah, indoors was good, right? Ran that 641, beat Christian Coleman, but then he goes to outdoors. He ran 999 win aided, then a 1004. Then he runs a 10-1-2, then runs 10-04 in the first round at Worlds, and then scratches the semis. Like he had not had a good 100-meter race this year. So this was it. I agree with you though. There is another level up or another tier. I don't know. You probably don't want to talk about tiers ever again. But I think there is another tier to go here between edging Zarnell Hughes and winning a European title and beating that group of Americans at the top of the world list this year. And I hope we get to see it because that's what That should be the purpose of these post-championship meets. We don't like them all the time. They're confusing because the season should be over, but it keeps going. But if we're going to have them, it's for situations like this where people were hurt, major championship, you didn't get to see them in the marquee matchup. Now you can see them race. Like it's encouraging for Jacob obviously, and to have this opportunity for him to get back and have a championship title to run for. Very motivating for him, and I give him credit for taking advantage of the opportunity.
It is going to be a little bit of a bummer though, because I don't believe Fred Curley's running the rest of the year. I think
He's not.
yeah. So we're not going to be able to see him go up against Curley. We will get to see him go up against though Bromell, Bracy, Coleman, all the other, Seville maybe. So we'll be able to get at least a little bit of an idea of what he would have been if he was healthy for World Championships.
Mm-hmm.
But here's my question for you: if the injury never happened,
Mm-hmm.
and based on what you see here in this 995, what place do you think he would have gotten at Worlds if he didn't have to deal with injuries? If he would have just come off of indoors the way he did and was able to just kind of progress normally the way he's progressing normally now?
Metal, but not gold.
Over under 2.5 place.
I'd say silver. I think he would have flipped spots with Curly from last year. That's where I would have had him.
So you would run 987 and got silver?
That's a very specific time, but I guess that's the only time that's available in between gold and the silver medalist. So he's proven he can do it at the championship. I just think Curly wasn't going to be beat this year in that race, in that setting. But yeah, who knows? I mean, if you want to say he would have won gold, I wouldn't have argued with him. If you want to say would have gotten fourth, I think that probably would have been not giving him enough credit for what he's done. But now we get to actually see. I mean, he scratched a lot this year. He had a lot of. I felt like every week he was being entered and then pulled out of a race here and there. So I just interpret that as this guy's way more hurt than we think. And then you saw him at Worlds; it didn't look anything like himself. And then now a couple weeks later, he's back to running sub tens. So yeah, is he incrementally better health wise, but he crossed an important threshold that allows him to get to that sub 10? Maybe, or is it completely behind him? I don't know, and I guess him running the rest of the season will help us answer that question.
Yeah. I'm hoping that for the record, I think you would have gotten fourth. I still think USA would have swept. But I think Jacobs, I'm hoping that he gets a little quicker on his times the rest of this year. I hope that he's like a legitimate factor in the Diamond League, maybe even wins or gets second, beats some of the other Americans.
Yeah.
And then we can go into 2023 being like, all right, Jacobs is back. We know what Curly has right now. And we could potentially get a really good 2023 with a lot of good storylines. You have the
you have multiple guys who can win it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
you
can make an argument. You can make an argument for all three U.S. athletes. You can make an argument then for Jacobs, and that's just where you start, right? So you start with, okay, there's 4 people legitimately who can claim that number 1 spot, and then you would probably add on people from that too, because there's a possibility of other people entering into that conversation. Important correction from the chat, courtesy of Donovan. Gordon, Norway isn't part of the EU and doesn't use the euro.
Oh, shoot. They're not?
So you can't use that clip. Yeah, I should have corrected Gordon. I'd like to mock Gordon in this instance, like I did when I told him they weren't part of the Commonwealth, but I didn't call them out. So they are not. Yes, All in the Game says you're expecting a lot if you think Gordon would know that. To which Donovan replied, "Expecting most Americans to know this would be too much, especially someone like Gordon." This is great.
So Norway is part of the EEA. Wait.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Do they use the euro? They don't use the euro?
They don't use the euro according to it. No.
They're part of the EEA and the EFTA and Schengen, but not EU. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we can make him president of European athletics. How about that?
Yeah. You had that
Does that
whole
work?
title lined up too for your post. You had the whole thing like, yuck, after winning 5K, Jakob Ingebrigtsen should be in charge of the EU. No, you can't. Thank you for the correction, though. Appreciate it.
Thank you for saving
Should
me
have caught
from
that one.
embarrassment. I appreciate it.
It's making me worried that I'm not thinking critically enough about the things you say. That one just skated right by me.
Did you watch the highlight clip I sent you
Yeah.
that I made?
Yeah. That was good.
Maybe we'll show
We
the
should
people
play
that
that.
later.
Yeah, we should play it
We'll
in the
make a
pod.
better
We should
one at
forward
the end
that
of the
into-
year.
I like how it just ends too.
People don't know what we're talking
just-
about.
Yeah. Gordon made I guess you could say a reel of me shaking my head at Gordon basically every time on the pod. And just some silly stuff that he said. All right, women's 100. Upset City in the women's 100. Gina Luckenkamper wins it at home in a dramatic race. You won't see many 100-meter races have this many twists and turns in it. Dina Asher-Smith pulls up. Looks like Munjinga Kambunji is going to cruise to victory, but Luckenkamper comes on late, runs 10.99. Kambunji the same time, and then Dara Neda just 1/100th behind her. So you have three women there, all within 1/100th of a second, and Luckenkamper gets it done on her home track. You know, these are the moments that people are going to remember from these championships where you have an athlete pull an upset, pull a stunner in front of the home crowd. And yeah, it was pretty exciting moment here. I got to say, I mean, even though European Championship Women 100, if you're a track, purist or elitist, you're like, well, only 10.99, but it's just a cool moment. It's just a cool moment to see someone pull off an upset on this type of stage on their home track.
Yeah, and you couldn't have that many storylines in a 11-second race because you had the moment with Kambunji with the lead. You had Dina Asher-Smith pulling up with the calf or cramp injury or whatever it was, and then you had the late kick. It was a kick. There was a kick in this race with Gina Luckenkamper kicking. I mean, she was out of it with 40 meters to go. I did not see.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I thought maybe the other Brit would catch Kambunji, but I did not see Luckenkamper out from Germany to take the win. So that was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
was
we
that
all thought
Luckenkamper's
Asher-Smith.
first? Was that Luckenkamper's first time breaking 11?
I believe it was. Let's pull up get a profile up there. We can double check. I thought she came on late and like all of her momentum was moving in that direction. Even though the difference was 0.01, I thought she had it. But then the camera immediately goes to Kambunji and all the crowd goes to, she's run 10.95. My apologies.
A while ago though.
All the attention. Yeah. All the attention was on Kambunji, but I was like, I think Luckenkamper got this. She was on the ground, and then they reveal the times, and then Neda was right there in the mix too. So very, very hard to separate all of them, but just an exciting race, exciting women's 100. Hopefully Asher-Smith's all good moving forward. We can see her more on the Diamond League circuit, but yeah. Exciting women's 100. Completely different than the men's side of things. Men's side of things, after about 30 meters, you knew who won. You had the big favorite who held it all the way to the line. This was just like twists and turns and all sorts of unpredictabilities. Fun race.
Yeah. And I wasn't expecting it. It's always fun when you get fun races when you look. I mean, did any of us pick this race in our races to watch draft?
You had Asher-Smith, yes. So you
Does
got
that
the
count?
100.
I guess I got it, but I feel like that doesn't count.
No, that doesn't count. So I'm ahead, I think, because I have Marcell Jacobs, and you had Ingebrigtsen's double, which, I mean, it was cool, but was it that cool? Stay tuned after the break, and we'll find out.
Anyway, yeah, good race all around. It was fun.
Yeah.
Was that why you
Home
texted
crowd.
me, whoa?
Yeah.
You
I
texted
was
me,
being
whoa, with no context. I wasn't sure what
I
it
was
was
being
for.
I was being kind of a bit sarcastic. I wanted to share it with somebody. You know, worlds, everybody's texting you everything during the whole meet, so you get used to all this interaction with people. And then European championships happen, and I'm just sitting by myself staring at a computer. So I just wanted someone in the outside world to acknowledge what was going on. So I was like, Gordon, he'll know. And the first thing I could think of was whoa. So that's why I sent it. I realized how sad that makes me seem. After those words came out of my mouth, I realized that did not make me sound cool at all. I'm okay with that. I'm a dad.
I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't watch this live. I watched a lot of it in replay format. So I thought the whoa was maybe connected to like an email you got or something, like a work email.
Clearly,
like, oh,
you didn't care at all because you didn't follow up at all. You had no interest in it.
And then I was trying to figure out, okay, was this whoa in reaction to Marcell Jacobs or was it in reaction to the women's 100? And I was trying to all right, what would be more of a whoa? And I was like, it's got to be the women's 100. And that's what I figured it out.
So why did you not just ask me?
I just figured it out. I didn't need to ask. I was like, okay, this is about Euros. Okay, is the whoa about Marcell Jacobs or Luckenkemper? And I looked at the time. I was like looking. I literally looked at the time you sent it, and then I went to the schedule page and see what time
the race
was at. And I tried to
this
match
makes
it up.
you sound weirder than me.
To that one. I could have just asked, but I wanted to not ask. I wanted to act like I knew.
Okay.
So I was just like,
Colt, help us decide something. Who sounds like the bigger loser here?
I'm not. I mean, I think you, Kevin. Honestly, I think sending the just unrequited, just like no reason. Whoa, I think is kind of a problem, maybe.
Yeah, thank you.
But Gordon, instead of just responding with question mark or what happened, he goes back and looks on the schedule page like he's on CSI to try to figure out.
Yeah, that's also not great, but you know.
Cross-referencing it?
I guess I didn't want to out myself that I wasn't watching it live. And you probably would think, oh, you're being a bad podcast partner because you're not doing your research for the podcast. But I was like, well, I'm just going to watch it on the...
I was being overly social, like unnecessarily social, because I desperately was in need of it. And you were the opposite direction. You were being unnecessarily antisocial. I think that's the way to break it down.
Sure.
All right. Let's talk about the controversy of the meet. Men's long jump. Jacob Fincham Dukes of Great Britain thought he had a silver medal. The reason he thought he had a silver medal is because he was second in the results. And he did a lap of honor. He took photos. He had the flag draped around him. And then we find out he didn't, because there was a protest after the lap of honor from the French team that ruled that his first jump of the competition was actually a foul. He was in a tie, but based on the tiebreaker, he was in the second position. And then once he had that first jump thrown out, it bumped him all the way down into fifth place. So no medal for Fincham Dukes, and he has all these strange memories now of walking around the track with the flag, having that feeling that he had the medal, only to find out later on that he was moved down to fifth because his jump was thrown out. Now, Britain counter protested it. Ultimately, they lost as well, too. There's a lot of things going on here, right? Because we have the whole idea of long jump protests and long jump fouls, which, remember, we did a pod on this before. Pretty controversial. We can throw up let's get the screenshot up here, Colt, of Fincham Dukes' jump. Now, this is obviously not very scientific, but remember the idea of like, it's not over the plasticine, but then before takeoff, their foot is crossing the border. So there's that whole thing, which I don't know if we need to relitigate right now because everybody's said their feelings about whether or not they like it or not. But then there's the idea like it wasn't picked up at the time. So the equipment didn't pick it up at the time, which is an issue, which leads to someone completing their whole competition thinking that they have a legal jump. And in the long jump, that matters because it impacts your strategy throughout the rest of the competition. So this is a huge problem here. And I don't know
Yeah.
how you fix it other than saying you just can't, at a certain point, you can't protest. At a certain point, you need to go off the results as they stand because, yeah, okay, you could say this was a foul and it would be wrong to keep him in that spot. But also, having it called a foul or having it called fair impacts the complete rest of his jumps because then he has to make decisions about how he's approaching the board. So this is a bad situation all around. I can't help but think back to Eugene, Kevin Allen, more track and field blunders here, where it just seems like we have a weird way of adjudicating things that is very confusing to people. And if you apply it to other sports, wouldn't make much sense. I know sometimes in the NBA, they go back and they said, the foot was on the line and we changed the 2 to a 3, right? That happens because there's a flow of the game. But, they have a break in between every single jump to figure this out. This needs to be decided then.
Yeah, there should definitely be a statute of limitations on protesting here. And I mean, maybe we don't know, but maybe the protest was filed right away by the French and it was always a pending protest. And so he just was like, oh, it's going to be fine. And but I want to know when the French actually filed it. Did they file it right after or did they wait till all 6 attempts and their athlete was in 4th and then they filed it?
Well,
because that's,
okay, but why does it take that long? Even if you
track
do it,
and
if you
field,
file,
bro. That's why they don't. Our sport's
then
so
take it. The
dumb.
meet's going on forever anyway. Sport is great. The meet's going on for forever anyway. Take an extra 30 seconds or a minute, look at it, get it right, and then move on with the competition. Because again, this impacts the rest of the competition. If you want to retroact, the opposite, it's true in the 800, the 1500, the 5000, 10,000, right? So, or even, running out of your lane in the quarter. It's not like they pulled him off the track in the middle of the event. You run the race, you go back and you look at it and you say, all right, that person's DQ'd. But that's fine because you can just remove that person from the results and it's all good. This is an individual who thought they had a mark, bases the rest of their competition on achieving that mark and then finding out, oh, that didn't count. And then you find it out when you think you're about to get a medal around your neck. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I mean, in other sports, once the next, if you want to challenge a football play, once the next snap starts, the challenge cannot be thrown, right? And you miss out on the opportunity. That's why teams rush to spike the ball because they don't want the catch to be reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Holding
I think
call
they're just thinking
in the second
you're
quarter. You have not won the Super Bowl anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Upon the further review, give us back the trophy, and we're giving it to the other team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just more of it's not about whether or not the call is right on the foul there. It's just more about you can't wait till after 6 attempts to then foul the first attempt. That doesn't. There needs to be
yeah. If it's
a
a
way
sixth attempt, I get it. If it's a 6th attempt, I'm not making this argument. That's a totally different situation, right? If it's the final attempt because it's not impacting the rest of the competition, and you're going to have more time to try to get that right. But the first jump, Gordon, the first jump.
I mean, the question is, did they file the protest after the first jump, but they just didn't read the protest file until after all 6 were done? Because they were like, oh, this is only going to matter if he's a medalist.
Again,
that could have been what happened.
They got to do better, though. They got to do better. They need to speed up the processes. If no one could see that this would become an issue, then they need to change that process to where this stuff gets called out immediately. I'm guessing every coach out there, right, has a tablet, right, and they're watching every single jump. which they should do. And the coaches or the technical delegates, whoever, like that's it's not their fault. Like their job is to try to get medals for their country. So I don't blame them for filing a protest. But like if they're seeing it in real time, there needs to be, and there's an expectation they're seeing it in real time. You're right. There needs to be a time limit of when they can file a protest, and it can't be after the competition is over. Hey, your first jump is like, it's just, again, this wouldn't really fly anywhere else.
Yeah, it wouldn't, but that's our sport. It's weird. Maybe they just say like the competition is over after all 6 attempts. So the protest window is what, 90 minutes or 30 minutes after the final jump of the final competitor.
Yeah.
You know, the same way they don't look at if you step on the inside lane in the first lap of a 25 lap 10K, the clock doesn't start on protest until everyone crosses the finish line. And so maybe it's like the clock doesn't start on protest window until everyone has done all 6 of their jumps. It's stupid though. We can agree.
Yeah.
That it's stupid.
But there's strategy involved in this, right? Like
Yeah, because if you know you're winning,
this,
you're not gonna. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What if he was in the gold medal spot? What if he was way ahead of everybody else? What if his 807 was way ahead of everybody else and he didn't even take the final jump? And then you come to find out that you didn't have the gold. Like there,
Yeah.
it's different. It's a different type of event because the way it's conducted, and you need to treat protests then differently. You can't do it this. You can't do what you suggested. You can't wait 30 minutes after the 10K to do it. Like they need to have a quicker process for this to get this information out to the athletes, because it's not just the fact that, oh, it's a bad look for them to have a guy doing a lap of honor and then find out he didn't get a medal. The bad look is that this could have altered the competition. If he had another shot at it, knowing that he needed a bigger mark, he could have gotten maybe it back into the medals.
Are there any kind of limits on protests at all, or is it kind of just willy-nilly? You could protest anything at any time for any reason.
You can protest anything as long as it's within the protest window. But I do think it costs money to protest, right?
I know at US ATF championships it does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a huge amount of money, but I mean, and then
They do that
again,
so people don't just protest it just for the heck of it.
yeah. And there's a lot of protests that you never hear about because you'll see it like on results sites of like, oh, under protest or pending or something like that. The result doesn't go final. And then it's just like, okay, wait, what were you protesting? Because someone thinks they saw someone step on the inside line and then they have to go back and look at it. But the other issue too here is the equipment that we're dealing with, like not being able to pick this up and then having to go back and look at it again. That to me is, reminds me of the whole Devin Allen saga again too. And then this whole rule change here where they're really expecting a lot from athletes. Just like they're expecting the reaction times to be good, but not that good. And in the long jump and triple jump, they're expecting them to hit the board well, but not that well. Because if you hit it too well, then it gets marked against you. It's like, come on, like, wouldn't it be better just
Good
to
point.
not have this situation? Like, why are we inviting situations where we need such specific degrees of like our instrumentation to be calibrated so perfectly that it just opens the door for things to be wrong, when you could just widen the margin of error a little bit here and allow, like in the sprints, someone to get away with theoretically guessing the gun, or in the case of long jump, someone being right on the board. Like that should be good.
If Carl Lewis had that spot on the board back in the 1980s, it would not have been a foul, because the technology would have been like, yeah, it looks good.
Well, they'd look at it. It's their
They'd
eyes,
look
right?
at it. Yeah, these are eyes. Yeah, it's clear. But now we got to find reasons to be like, actually, technically, if you move it on the angle of the parameter of the
Well,
paragram.
and this is this is where it's similar to other sports. Instant replay gets introduced in the NFL, and then we're all debating what is a catch. And then you slow anything down and you look at it from 12 different angles, and then you start, well, one, and it's just it takes the fun a lot out of sports if you're litigating such minor things. But
Yeah.
in track and field, it seems as if they're punishing people for being right at the like edge of human performance, which is a weird thing to do. Like Devin Allen, we all saw the headlines, right? Was too good at starting. That's why he got DQ'd.
Yeah.
It might be naive a little bit, but this seems so much simpler than a catch, right? Like either you've crossed the line or you haven't. Should be the rule. It feels like they're just building corner cases for things that are going to trip them up in the long term. But
Yeah, it's almost like they're desperate to use the technology.
It's like we paid a
You know,
lot for it. We got to use it.
at the cost of having some issues like this. And again, this is separate yet related to having a protest that comes after the person's completed their competition. Abimola in the chat says, I would say go with tech if you're going with tech. In tennis, you go with Hawkeye or the machine on the net. Doesn't matter how you feel or how close it is, go with the tech. Problem is, though, tech's got to be right then. And the tech has to be very, 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 very precise. Because as we saw in the men's high hurdles in Eugene, and then that data got posted, right? How many people had the reaction time of, was it 0.115 or lower in through the men's 100, the men's high hurdles, I think, and it was 20 something times in Eugene, and then the next highest was 6 or 5 from the last few championships. I mean, it's just sometimes the stuff can be off, and it doesn't need to be off by much. I mean, the real question is, are they getting an advantage from this, and what is the advantage that they're gained? But I'm still waiting on Sebco's answer about the false start. That's what I want to know.
You're never gonna get it.
Never. No, I'm not going to. But listen, I asked the tough questions, Gordon. You ready for Guess My PR?
Yeah, I am. Let's do
All
this.
right.
It's
Yeah.
time.
Is it time? We got anything else? Anything
Time
else
that
in
I
the
get.
European champ?
No, nothing
Man,
else.
okay. Sorry, I was checking my email there. I just got my utility bill for this month, and it was high again. So I'm just gonna
Yeah?
stop
How
watering
much
my
was
lawn.
it?
I've given up. Not gonna say. But just if you want my Venmo, I'll post it later on at the end of the show. Okay. Let's go to the Guess My PR.
You
All
water
right.
your
So I'm
lawn?
gonna tell you.
I guess we live in Texas. You gotta do that.
Well, I think I should
I
have
don't
just
have
given
any.
up though at the beginning.
I don't have any
Never
grass in my
rains.
lawn. So
It is funny. Speaking of weather, people love it when you talk about local weather, especially on an international podcast like this. But we had like what in the last 3 months it's rained like once, something like that, if that, and it's like hasn't even been cloudy. And then I look at the weather app on my phone, and then from Thursday all the way to next Friday, it's like every single day is thunderstorms in the forecast. It's like a week straight of
really?
just thunderstorms. Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, I'm supposed to
Okay.
go to a pool party this weekend.
It's the weather. Saturday it doesn't say thunderstorms, so go
Okay,
on
good.
Saturday. All right,
That's what
I'm going to give you this
what it is.
information. Guess my PR this week comes from a freshman in high school that had only run middle school cross country before my freshman track season. All right, and you're going to guess the 800 and 400 PBs. The 800 and 400 PBs. Here's the workout week before the 800 PB. 2 times 400 with 5 minutes rest at 56 and then 57, then 1 times 300 at 43, 2 times 150 at 21. All right. You want me to repeat that?
So 2 400s, 2 300s, 2 150s?
No. 2 400s, 1 300, 2 150s.
With a lot of rest. 5 minutes rest every time?
Yeah. So 56, 57, 43, 21, 21.
Okay.
All right. Clue number 2. The 4x4 team that he was on ran 327.
Okay.
Clue number 3, the 4x8 team. The 4x8 team ran 755.
That's a bigger clue. 755.
Yeah. So let's pull up the photo here.
Ooh, photo
He's
clue.
hip.
I like this.
He's hip 2 on this. Hip 2.
Looks like an 800.
Guessing
And
this
so
is
this is freshman in high school right now?
yeah. Freshman
And
high
so
school.
he ran this at the end of his freshman year?
Doesn't say when he ran it, but
I'm guessing
I'm
that's when he ran
I'm
it.
assuming that's what. Yeah.
And all
He's
he
from North
had
Carolina.
was middle school cross country training leading into it, right?
Yeah. Yep. And he's from
Okay.
North Carolina. So people are fast
Yep.
in North Carolina. I don't. Does he wearing super shoes there too? I guess we could zoom in on the spikes if you want to be trying to figure out
Yeah, those are those
exactly how
Nikes?
fast
I
he's
can't
going.
tell.
All right.
Okay, so here's the thing. You got a lot of times when I play Guess My PR, I just try to like think of the workouts I did and how fast I was, and then just extrapolate from that. And so I think he's faster than me when I was a freshman in high school. Because when I was a freshman in high school, I ran 204 in the 800. So I think he's faster than that. And if the team is running 755, you can't have a 204 on that because that means there's like a really good runner. So I'm thinking he's a freshman, so he's probably not the fastest. So I'm going to say 2 flat. Oh, wait. Shoes? Oh, those look like those are Nikes. All right, we're going 159.
All right. And then the 400, what do you think?
400's like 52.
You win. You win. Well, you didn't get it right, but you were close. You were a second slow on both, though.
Okay.
158 this is for William. 158.24 in the 8, and then 51.6 in the quarter.
Yeah, that counts as a win. That's a win. I'm back on it. I'm back on my game. This is good. I'm ready to go now. Get your Guess Your PRs in, and I'm going to predict them all perfectly because now I'm going on a run. I was on a losing streak. Now I'm on a hot streak. Technically, I'm a two Guess My PR hot streak because I guessed the 800 and the 400. So I'm 2 for 2 right now.
That's fast still for a freshman, right?
It is.
Or are my high school calibrations off? Am I stuck
No,
in
that's
a
good for
previous
a freshman.
decade?
I mean,
Feels fast.
Yes, breaking 2 freshman year, that starts off your career well. So you can try to, run in the mid 150s by end of sophomore year. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, if I keep going, I could get a scholarship.
Yeah. 147
Good
wins you
luck,
some
man.
Diamond Leagues this year.
Yeah, you can win the diamond. Yeah, you probably could win the Diamond League next year. The way it's going now.
All right. Thanks to William. If you want to participate, Guess My PR, email us, send photos, send videos, send your workouts, FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com, subject line, Guess My PR. Also, Internet Coach, if you're looking for advice, from Gordon, send an email our way as well, too.
Oh, by the way, the person, the Virginia Tech kid, the club?
Yeah.
So he ended up, maybe it's a different person. I'm confused. Because there's another Aiden McCarthy who goes to Cal Poly who ran 148. But the person that we talked about was a Virginia Tech kid. Was a Virginia. I was looking him up because I wanted to see when he ran his. And I'm just like, all right, which one is
Gordon
this? I don't know.
You did more research on this than the Euro champs. That's what's great about this.
Then it doesn't make any sense because there's an Aiden McCarthy who ran like it may match up. It may be the same person, but it may not be. And I'm really confused because he has his, 49.99 400 or 153 800, but then he's running 148 for Cal Poly, which is on the other side of the country. So I'm not sure if this is the same Aiden McCarthy.
Not in the EU, just to clarify. Cal Poly.
But he's running a race on the East Coast, and then like a month later, he's running for Cal Poly on the West Coast. I don't know. Maybe
Van Noy went from one coast to Cal Poly, or not coast, like a Gulf Coast.
I don't know. I was confused. I don't know if there's 2 Aiden McCarthys. What are the odds? 2 Aiden McCarthys running 800 in the low 150s, high 140s?
Pretty low. pretty low odds there. Do more research, I think, on this.
And
Is
same
the moral
age,
of the
both
story.
like young freshman type runners. So I don't know.
Today at European Championships, you got the men's 400, women's 400. So you get to see Femke Bol, and then the men's high hurdles. Before we go though, do you want to do deep dive into cross country? Just kidding. Me
I was
can if
about
you want
to.
to.
No,
Go ahead.
because you were talking about what's the long jumper's name that we were just talking about?
Jacob Fincham Jukes from Oak State.
Yeah, from Oklahoma
Yeah.
State. Oklahoma
Yeah.
State, good team. They got a good men's team. They're hosting. They might surprise. No, I've been doing more research on the rankings, which I dive into them and then I dive out and I dive back in and I dive out. Hopefully, I have them by end of next week, and then we'll really be able to tell you. You give my full top 30, both the men's and women's side. I can tell you who the favorites are.
Yeah, we all know who the favorites are.
I don't think you do. Let's see if you. Okay, let's play a game. Let's play a game. No, not
NAU.
not team favorite. I'm talking about individual favorites.
NC State.
Can you name?
Well, Connor Mance.
Can you name who the top 3 men are?
Kyoko.
I think he's graduated.
Think that's not Charles Hicks.
Yeah, that's 1.
Nico Young.
2. You name the 3rd. You won't name the 3rd.
Kai Robinson.
No, close. That was a hint.
The other Stanford guy.
Yeah, Cole Sprout. All right, women. Can you name the 3?
Caitlin Toohey.
Correct.
Taylor Rowe.
Correct.
Does Mercy Chalanga have eligibility?
She does.
There. Wow, that was
ding,
easy.
Ding, ding. Yeah.
You said that was supposed to be hard?
I know.
Light work for me.
Light work.
Sure. I saw Washington released their schedule and they only have 2 regular season meets. That was a fun little graphic they put out. Did you see that? It's like, here's our schedule. It's like 5 things listed total. That's the whole schedule because it's 2 regular season meets, conference regionals and nationals. That was kind of cool.
Sports.
They're going to the Cowboy Jamboree and the Nutty Cone meet. But NAU
released their schedule.
Yeah. What do you think of it? Good schedule?
Oh, should we do a big schedule breakdown pod?
Well, the NBA's been doing it.
I know.
So,
well, they're running this meet called the Coaching Tree Invitational in Bloomington, Indiana.
Coaching Tree. Is that an app? Is Coaching Tree an app, or is it like literally like a coaching tree? Like you had to have been part of this coaching tree to get invited?
I think that's what it is. I think you had to be part of the coaching tree. But that's kind of cool. Is it Ron Helmer's coaching tree?
I kind of like this.
Is that what it is?
What happens if that coach leaves then? Does that invite gets passed on to somebody else?
Okay, I'm going to Google this. What is the coaching tree? Invitational. What does that even mean? It's people who used to coach with Ron Helmer. Is that what it is? But does NAU have a connection to Ron Helmer?
I don't. You're asking.
Did Mike Smith did Mike Smith coach with Ron Helmer at one point, or his athlete at one point? Oh yeah, he did. Prior to coming to IU, Helmer served as director and head coach at Georgetown for 8 years. That makes sense. There you go. Interesting.
So who else is in the meet?
I don't know, but it's the Ron Helmer coaching tree. That's fun.
Love
Maybe
it.
this is his final year. Because he's, so maybe they're having a victory celebration in the form of a cross country meet.
They could do that in the NBA, like the Greg Popovich coaching tree. It would just be all of the league, though. Literally be.
You do that for. Well, is it Greg Pop? I guess I call it the Brett Brown coaching tree now.
No, Brett Brown is part of Pop's coaching tree. That's not how
No,
it
it's
works. You
separate.
can't.
There's a break. There's a break.
No,
Similar to like Andy Reid. Is it Andy Reid's
no.
coaching tree in the NFL, or is it
It's Bill Walsh's, isn't it? Bill Walsh
who's
had.
Andy Reid's? No, it's the Green Bay coach.
Oh, Holmgren. But
Holmgren, yeah,
Holmgren was under.
Holmgren,
It wasn't Holmgren under Walsh. I don't know. I could
maybe.
be wrong on that.
I don't know. This podcast is getting off the rails. People are like,
No,
"What
it's
is Brett Brown?"
I just think nothing. Never mind.
What?
Okay. No, I just going through cross country schedules is good. We should have done a whole pod.
Well, we found out there's a coaching tree invitational. Whatever that means. That's interesting.
I know when I first saw it, I thought it might be the name of some product, though, right? I mean, I know what the term coaching tree means, but there also could be some sort of it's a clever name, right? Like if you're coming up with some sort of like coaching app, I don't know, coaching tree. Hey, did you log your workout in coaching tree? Yeah, I did. Did you? But literally, it means coaching tree. So
yeah.
But we don't know who's there, other than NAU and Indiana,
NAU,
right?
Indiana, yeah. Probably Georgetown will go. Right?
Yeah. All right. Just so much to look forward to. Friday.
You really are
we'll have
not
a lot.
Looking forward to cross country.
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving it this year. This is the year. I mean, I'm kind of locked in. I guessed all your top three. Friday, we'll have a lot to talk about. The men's 15 is going to be on Thursday night, so we'll talk about that on Friday. And then we'll preview. We got NACAC coming up this weekend, too. The North American.
Who's on the NACAC
Caribbean.
team?
Well,
U.S.
There's actually some big names that are running it because people figured out what you and I had talked about. What was it, 2 years ago? Like all the points that go to being a continental champion make it worth your while to make the trip to run. And I think this is still the case. You get the standard out of the way if you win it. People thought before you got the bye. Remember that was publicized? You got to buy into World Championships if you won NACAC or Continental Championships, but that's not the case. You get the standard. You get a bye. You get standard.
Looking at notable names, we have Johnny Gregoric in the 1500, Duncan Hamilton 3K steeple, Eric Holt in the 15, Evan Jager's running the steeple, Woody Kincaid's in the 5K, Kyrie King sprints, Jonah Koek in the 8, Sean McGordy in the 5 and 10, Josh Thompson.
There's a reason Bowerman's going. They figured it out too.
Yeah,
they know the value.
Steph Bruce in the 10K.
They ran the numbers. They realized it's worth it to go.
Trying to see if there's any other interesting sprinters. Not many interesting. Heather McLean in the 15. She's gonna kill it. Anyway, yeah, that's cool. Ajay Wilson's running the 8.
Smart. Yeah. I mean, I guess she doesn't really need it because she'll get the standard, no problem. But if you're running if you're still listening
to this podcast this late into it, we do have news. Kipchoge, who's running in Berlin,
breaking news,
is going to be running live on FloTrack in the U.S. So that's exciting. Berlin Marathon. You live in the U.S. and a few other European countries, you get to watch it live on FloTrack. So that's exciting. We'll probably do a live pod for that. Maybe. We'll see. It's going to be in the middle of the night, but we're going to have a good time. Check out Berlin Marathon. That's coming soon, right? It's like in a month?
End of September.
End of
September. Yeah. Is Colt going to wake up early and produce a live show?
He might. I mean, it's Kipchoge.
We'll see.
And I think I heard rumors that Kira D'Amato might go there to try to break the American record. So
might be worth it.
Your excitement is just oozing out of your facial emotions right now.
Well, I have a good poker face, Gordon. I am always excited to see Kipchoge. What do you mean? Why would I not be excited to see Kipchoge? This is gonna be awesome. I'm just thinking about waking up at 2 a.m. That's why my face was like that. Yeah. And I was listening to Cole talk about how excited he is. So
hyped.
Hyped.
There we go.
All right.
right.
That's it. Email the show. FloTrackPodcast@gmail.com.
Last time you're going to see this picture. Take a picture. Take a screenshot.
Nobody
it right now.
really cares that much about that picture. But see you guys.